but people are asking about survey weights that are common in public health surveillance systems. And if you could just speak to the use of survey weights with MAIHDA, just your reflections on it broadly, not like the technicalities of implementing that, but just, yeah, any thoughts that you have on survey weights incorporation.
Yes, I'm really happy to talk about this. There's a couple of big ideas with survey weights. It's another one of these like, yeah, sure, you could do that, but let's proceed with caution kind of things. So first glance, it really depends on your data. So sometimes you will have survey weights provided by default in your data, or you've constructed them yourself, perhaps, because your data set was collected wanting to disproportionately oversample some minoritized group, some group that you knew was going to be small, and you wanted to be able to do a subgroup analysis. You wanted to be able to actually have enough data to say something meaningful about a population. And that's actually lovely. If your strata that you're defining, your intersectional groups that you're defining in the MAIHDA model, align with those axes of how people were sampled, you may actually not need to use weights, or maybe using weights won't have that big of a difference. The reason being, you've sort of upped the number of people in a particular group, but you're not trying to say, well, this group that's really 10% of the true population was 50% of my data. You're not trying to add everybody back together and treat that sample as if it was one population. You're not doing that. You're actually doing the subgroup analysis already. So, do you need to? Is always a good question. You might need to. But then, if you need to, this is actually something where I think we need to do some more work before I have a confident recommendation on how to proceed. There are cool new ways now of doing this is how one would integrate sampling weights into a multi-level model. So that could be used with MAIHDA. I do want to flag a point of caution, which is I've spoken with several people who have been in charge of constructing those sampling weights with large data sets. But very often, if you are using a secondary data source, you just kind of get the data set and it's got a little column that says sampling weights. And there's a bit of a black box mystery around how exactly that number was constructed. Okay, so I'm being told with the sampling weight that this person in my data is supposed to represent 400 people in my true population. This other person represents 30 people. They have different sampling weights, and I want to take that into account. But how are those numbers derived? And from the limited conversations I've had with people who actually do this behind the scenes, it sounds like it's very often an additive process. So they will attempt to reconstruct, right, this person is genderqueer and Black and PhD and all these things. What percentage of the population is each of those, but it's doing it separately, one at a time, not necessarily taking into account that certain intersections themselves might have more or fewer people. Population size itself could be, in a sense, intersectional. So if you put sampling weights in, yes, it works. I haven't yet done the work to know how much I think that that's a better estimate, or is it just a different way of getting an estimate? Is it automatically better because I use sampling weights? I don't know yet. That's the kind of project where it's on my soon-to-do list, or if somebody else wants to grab it and run with it, please goodness, save me the effort. But some really good simulation analysis, I think, is what's needed to road test that part of it. And ideally, we would start to think about MAIHDA as a tool for creating sampling weights.